Okay, so, that's the first question. Are you glad you're you? And really, we could actually spend the rest of the session just on that, because it leads to a lot of other kind of questions, you know. But I really want to plug the value and the importance of you enjoying being glad and accepting you as you are, warts and all. Warts and all. Things you don't like about yourself, don't let them take over. Enjoy being you. Why is that so important?
Self-esteem.
There's an obvious answer. Why is it important for us to enjoy and accept and be glad that I am like this individually?
So we can function well.
Well, okay, one at a time. John?
We can function well then.
We can function well, true. We can actually make a decision and then get on with it. Okay? I will stuff up, but I am going to be me and get on with things. Any other reason why? There's an even more obvious reason why it's important to accept and love being who you are. Gay?
Because the Lord, I am the Lord's child.
Right.
I'm here for a specific purpose.
Right.
The better I can know that purpose, the more useful I can be to Him.
Right. I saw you hesitate, Gay, as if you were thinking, I agree with you, I saw you hesitate as if you were thinking, I'm now going to say something so obvious and simple that everybody will know it and it hardly needs saying. For Pete's sake, with all this stuff, never be scared of the simple, bleeding, obvious. Okay? Or else we'll be in complexities and intellectualism before we know where we are. So yes, Gay, you are the Lord's own child. Okay, Sarah, you had something. Why are you glad you're you?
Why am I glad?
Yeah, what was your comment?
I like myself.
Great.
I like myself and I'm happy to have more life.
Right.
Okay.
Right. That's a good one, isn't it? That's a really good one, Sarah. The law of affinity, that like attracts magnetically like. So if you know who you are, which is what you said, John, if you know who you are and you can be who you are, you will find people coming to you because vibe-wise they pick up, here's a lady who has something which attracts me to her. Okay? Personally. That's very important.
I guess I also meant though, if you're happy, then you're open to more positive things coming your way, and
Right.
then you can,
Yes.
it's like self-fulfilling.
Michael Lunig said, there is only love and fear. There is only love and fear. There is only love and fear. You know? That's all there is in the end.
Yeah.
And love is what Sarah's just been describing, and fear is the prison. Okay? Did you want to say something on this? I'm glad I'm David.
Probably not, no.
Okay, right. I thought your hand went up.
It did, but I just
Okay.
decided that I'll keep to myself.
The obvious answer is it jolly well is going to help you because it's the fact that you are you. You know? In the end, you are who you are. Come to terms with that. And don't dodge the plan, don't dodge the reality, and so on and so on.
It's like a children's story with the, what is it, the or the mouse on the crocodile's head or something getting across the river. It's I am who I am.
Oh, okay.
You know, with the, it was the snake or something like that.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, we'll come to a story in a moment.
Surely, it's
Yes.
liking what you are is the same as accepting what you are. It's liking what you are. It's the same as accepting what you are.
It's very close. It's very close. And I'll move on with that accepting to this word I've put up on the board. It says tend, and it's a tremendously important word when we think about self. Okay? First of all, can anybody think of a place in the Bible where the word tend is mentioned? Tend my sheep, Jesus with Peter, tend my sheep. Is there another
Fields
one?
or the crops or something?
What happened right at the beginning, nearly right at the beginning of the Bible, and God created man in his own image and likeness, Judy.
That's what I was
You are created in the image and likeness of God, my darling. Okay? 90% of the time, you don't think you are or you don't feel it. The truth is, you are. God has gone, Judy. Okay? Like me. Okay? Now, tend. Is there anything in the Bible near the beginning where the word tend comes? Thank you, Elizabeth. And God put man in the garden and told him to tend the garden. Pre-Eve, on his own, tend the garden. So he's hoeing it and digging it and weeding it and bedding it and so on. Totally unself-aware. Because that's the Eden state, which we could go into, but time's not going to allow us. But, okay, so there's in some way we should tend ourselves. How can we tend? And I'm going to put, I'm a real wordsmith at times, I'm going to put two more letters in front of tend to give you a clue.
Greeting. Attend.
Just go back to the tend, Julian.
Sorry?
The way you said you like words, I like words too.
Right.
The way you actually say the word, I'm always fascinated by too, because it starts with that very external, right at the front of the mouth, and it finishes at with the D coming right from down below. It's
Right.
from external to internal.
I always think on that level, Gay, the two words push and pull actually sound what each of them does. Push and you pull,
Yeah.
okay, in the same way. All right, let's not go too semantic. Okay, now, thinking of tend, which actually comes from Latin, meaning to hold. If you know French, tenir, right, to hold, to hold. So that's tending, to hold to and work with. And here we've got attend. How do we attend to ourselves?
We love it.
Right? We love ourselves.
So they're after us.
How else, sorry? Paying attention. And what does that involve, Judy? Self-awareness, self-observation, self-examination. Catch the moment. Catch the moment. Okay? What's going on? How is it moving? And how am I responding? A lady on the radio once made a beautiful speech, and she said, what we do is that we tend to to react, when in fact we should respond. I thought that's brilliant. We tend to react, okay, when in fact we should respond. Very, very significant difference. Now, okay, now come back to this word tend. Okay, we love ourselves, we become self-aware, and we deal properly with self-stuff which appears and messes us up, you see. We tend to it. And one of the helpful New Church teachings is that our thoughts and feelings are not ours. They are coming into us from both heaven and hell. So we are able to say, I detach from that feeling and thought. I disown it. It's coming into me. It's not me creating that. Whether it's good or whether it's bad. And we detach from it because it's external to our own self. Okay? Now, I want to rub out this.
What does at, the prefix,
At.
actually mean? Do you know?
Yes, I do. It's the way in which the Latin preposition... Do you read all this stuff? The Latin preposition ad, meaning to,
Yeah.
directional to, so hold, to, towards. Add, tend, has become attend. And we say ad nauseam and ad infinitum. And ad infinitum means to all eternity. Ad infinitum. So it's ad tend, attend. Okay? Interesting stuff. Words are... You become addicted. Addicted to words. If you're not careful, and it becomes, you know, the only way in which you communicate. Point, then, is to say no. Part of Julian's makeup is too much fascination with words. You are suffocating other parts of your whole self by too much wordplay. You see? Deal with it. And in fact, I think the phrase, deal with it, is one of the most wonderful phrases for us to use. Not stop it, deal with it. Deal with it and do it properly. Okay? Now, I want to come back to this word tend for a moment, to do with ourself, and I want you to think about the angels in heaven. The angels in heaven. What makes an angel an angel? And to be in the heavenly state. What makes an angel an angel? John?
Love of your fellow man.
Love of your fellow man, yes.
And you
A love, acknowledgement of the source of life, a love of God, which doesn't mean never-ending worship. A deeply sincere love of God and a love of others. Okay? And, okay, that makes heaven. Anything else?
And wanting to be useful.
Right. Right, wanting to be useful. Question, I'm pushing because of time. Question, are angels perfect?
No.
No.
Right. Why not?
Nothing is perfect, only the Lord is still.
Pardon?
Because they're not God.
Because they're not God. God is entirely perfect.
They also still have free will, so they're still subject to react.
Right, okay. Yeah, they still have their personality
Appropriate.
and they are proprium. We're going to come on to proprium in a bit. They have their individuality, and so you have the angelic state, which is like this. Okay? That's the angelic state. Ours tends to be in this time and space life and premature spirituality. And I say that without inferring anything about your spiritual state, but we are premature. We're not advanced. And so our wave tends to go like that. Okay? An angel has come to be calm and at peace and to know and accept and value his being, his person. Okay? Through acknowledgement of God, truly, not just head stuff, true acknowledgement of God and true love of, not just I must love others, I do love others and see in them something beautiful and of value, whoever they are. Okay? But angels do not flatline. They haven't got there, I've arrived. They are angelic, and they are permanently angelic, but they will still have these evening states. And an evening state is a state of what?
Turning away, cloudy, so darker.
Say it loudly.
Turning away, cloudy, darker.
Yeah. A dimmer sense of being. Through possibly long self-giving, and in comes a residual idea of, oh, that went well. I did a lot today, and so on, and it just dims down because their own personal state is not as fully in touch at that point as it is normally. And that's something that angels know and accept, that they will continue to have this sine wave or flux. And so they tend and attend to that. And I love the word tend because it actually says we all try to do our best and be good, try to follow the Lord's way, try to do the right thing, and yet at times I find that I tend, even so, to put myself first. And that word tend is tremendously important because it is neutral. It's neutral. It's not an accusation. You're still selfish. Look at you. I just tend to put myself first at times. And that's okay. And that's real. And so we will. Okay? We will always tend to do that. But the angels, far more than us, note it, deal with it, and get out of it. And the dimness goes. They're quick. That's why angels wear wings. They get out of it. Also, they have wings to go to others in their need, and so on. So these images of angels are very, very important. Okay, now, so back to ourselves. I want to quickly cover the Greek myth of Narcissus and Echo. Narcissus. Tell me about Narcissus.
Fall in love with his own reflection.
Right. He fell in love with his own good looks. Where did he fall in love?
I don't know.
Pardon? A pond or spring with a reflective surface, and he was out with Echo and passed by this pond edge and saw his image reflected back and said, "That's beautiful. That's me. Me." He stayed there and he sat there. And he did what Sarah's doing. He stroked his locks, absolutely smitten with himself, you see. What happened to Echo? What's an echo?
Repetition of the same sound.
Quiet response back. And Echo, deeply in love with Narcissus, went quieter and quieter and quieter, because he had excluded his beloved Echo in his own self-rapture. Okay? So that's what self can do to us, and it's a wonderful and very telling myth that we can be caught up in its trap of self-adulation. Okay, at that point, I'm going to give out a sheet. And this sheet has two sides to it, and it's full of words in English, okay? Words in English which start with self. There's about over 100 of them, and I'm not going to go through them, but just pick out 2 or 3. But what I would like you to do is quickly glance through the sheet and see which words are critical words and which words are positive words and which words may be neutral. Okay? You keep the sheet. It's just off the metaphors. It's a list of words. I've added about 7 or 8 that were not on the sheet that I felt were important at the end.
Oh no, Julian, you haven't got self-immolation.
He's not a Buddhist.
By the way,
On the front, I beg your pardon.
by the way, the sheet goes like that alphabetically. Okay? It goes one column all the way down, middle column all the way down, right-hand column all the way down, and me at the end. Okay. Now, this is pardon? Well, I didn't want to raise that. If something sucks, it's not good, okay? And I think self-suck must be not thumb-sucking or anything sucking. It must be the feeling that I suck, okay? I suck. Can you come up with, just quickly on this, can you come up with any words on the sheet that you would say are tremendously positive? Self-love.
Self-analysis.
Self-analysis is getting that away. Self-acceptance. Self-help.
Self-belief.
Self-esteem. My giddy aunt. Self-esteem is one of the most important things people need to have other people raising their self-esteem up, because, and I'm going to be gender a bit here, my experience is that ladies particularly have been putting themselves down, and their self-esteem can be so low. Okay, Sylvia?
You know, having got self-compassion, and in the books I've been reading, it says that self-compassion is more important than self-esteem.
Okay, all right, that's fair comment. Self-compassion. The word compassion, which has passion in it and compass, okay, interesting. Compassion is this deep feeling for, and self-compassion is to feel a pity towards yourself. Not to feel you're a pity, but to feel pity towards yourself. And pity is a lovely word describing tenderly a kind of okay and feeling for, self-compassion. And I hear about schools that do empathy training. Okay, that's big now, empathy training. Right, can you find any words, having come up with self-esteem and self-love and self-belief and so on, can you come up with any words from the sheet that are fairly not good?
Self-abuse.
Okay, one at a time. Anybody?
Self-distraction.
Self-destruction. Self-destruction. Think about, not now, but sometime think about how can we actually self-destruct? It's big, 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 big. Self-destruct.
Self-conceit.
Self-conceit. Self-aggrandizement.
Self-absorption.
Self-obstruction.
Absorption.
Absorption. Self-absorption. To be absorbed like a sponge is to be packed full of just your self situation. You know, absorbed in that alone.
Self-righteous.
Self-righteous, which is very sort of gospel, self-righteous. Jesus said, unless your righteousness exceeds that of the Pharisees and scribes, who were the epitome of self-righteousness, you cannot enter the kingdom of heaven. Be even more righteous than they are righteous. Right? So it's quite a good list. Okay, now
Self-boot.
It's a computer to me.
I was going to say.
Mind of its own.
Have you made it on?
okay, well there's the list, and you know, just be aware that in English we use, as probably other places do, we use this word self, and I want to give you a nice image now from ancient times about self. Okay, bear with me. The Egyptians wrote hieroglyphs. Picture writing. Okay? They did that beautifully and very meaningful. So, I know a little bit, and I'm not going to go into it, but if you talk about me and you and him, they would have a picture for that, which might be, for me, a shape like that. It isn't, I'm just making this up. For you, they might have a shape like this. And for him, they might have a shape like writing, which came spiritually through correspondences from, you know, very, very ancient people. When the Egyptians wanted to change me to myself, you to yourself, him to himself, they added something. Can you guess what they added?
Pictorially.
Speak up.
Spirit.
The word
Spirit.
spirit.
No?
Are you talking pictorially?
Pictorially. They added something
An
to change
eye.
me to myself.
An eye?
No? No? I'll tell you. They literally, actually added this to turn me to myself. That was their symbol. Think about Eden. That was their symbol to change me to myself. Okay?
Was that God given? Not having the last laugh.
I don't want to go on about the snake now, but what a well-created animal with its own characteristics to be the image of what we will and do need to keep attending to, hidden in the grass. Not a lion, hidden in the grass, snake. Okay, now let's come on next to, and I feel very strongly about this. People today talk about ego. What is ego?
Left behind.
All right, it's to do with yourself. What is it popularly talking about? Pride.
Right, yes.
Ego. You're full of ego. You're just always on about you. Okay? Self-love and so on and so on. Ego. Okay? Ego generally is a kind of critical label. Ego. The word ego is the Greek word for I. Okay? I. Okay? Now, one of the unfortunate things is that the word ego has tended to replace, with its popular usage, it's tended to replace a far better word which is well understood in the new church. David has already used it, which was the word proprium. Okay? Ego is I in Greek. It's become, through Freud and so on, the word we use when talking about self stuff. Okay? Pride and so on. The question I have is, what is the subtle difference between ego and proprium?
Program talks about stuff that's appropriate to oneself. There's
Right.
characteristics that have been collected. I suppose, all sorts of moral traits, I suppose, and personality traits that are appropriate to oneself. Right, so they've been good enough.
Okay. Proprium is what is appropriate to ourselves. There's a shorter word which is easier, which I'll give us in a minute. John.
Proprium is your basic love of self.
Yeah.
Where ego is when It's expanded that you think you can do things that a man can't.
Right. Ego is proprium gone viral.
Well, yeah.
Okay? Ego is proprium gone crook. Okay? Proprium, the word I like to use about proprium is it is neutral. It simply is. It's the fact of your individuality. And a good word to use with it is what is your own. Ownness. Which makes Judy Judy. And Judy Judy. Judy Jew. Not too many Jews, forgive me. Too many J people around here. You're surrounded by them. Okay, so proprium is neutral. It is not a loaded word. And it is simply our own individual existence that we experience and always will be in the experience of. And of course, did you want to say something, John?
No.
No, okay. Of course, when you read Swedenborg, he talks about our proprium being dead, black, filthy, excrementitious, and urinous. I know I'm capable of a lot, but I didn't think it was that awful. My proprium is dead, filthy, black, excrementitious, and urinous. Okay? Stinks to high heaven.
That doesn't sound anything that's neutral.
Swedenborg is not saying you're all total sinners. He's not starting to grind us down to submission by telling us we stink. He's simply making a point that without what? God, our own state will be not good. And he's using words to emphasize that not good possibility. Okay? Now, he also, I'll come on to another level of proprium in a minute, but one of the things that's always bothered me, okay, you're going for it. One of the things that's always bothered me is that the generation above me in the church, in the new church, were told and picked up that self is bad, bad, bad. Okay? Self is not good, and it needs to be broken down, and a love of others put in. They didn't tell you how to do this. They just told you that self is bad. It's called church fire and brimstone stuff, you see. So people, even now, elderly people in the new church, I experience people who are wounded by that sense of themselves being bad. Bad. We now live in a culture where self has gone right up. My RTA. I phone. Okay? Selfies. You see? And I look at this and I think, should I worry or should I not? Is it simply pushing, like feminism pushed in its time, is the self-individuality rise, correcting the fire and brimstone of self is bad, is wrong, and get it out of you, and start serving properly, and so on. I would say it risks going too far to be in a culture so free, and here in Australia so sunny, and if you feel like it, do it, and so on. And what your body looks like, and I don't want to go on about this too much, but that culture of I that we tend to all live in which our children are such a huge part. And one of my prayers is that somewhere soon we will actually come back to a better balance. It's always the pendulum, isn't it? It's always a pendulum. But my experience is that within one generation, we've gone from bad self to me. Near where Gay and Brian live, Ruth and I drove to come to you, and we went under a bridge. And on that bridge there was a photo of a really attractive looking girl, woman. She was standing on her balcony. It was about 8 years ago. She was standing on her balcony in the photograph. Above it, it said, "It's all about me, me, me." And Ruth and I shuddered at that huge statement. Pretty, wealthy, and it's all about me, me, me. So, we need to actually get it back. Okay. All right. I'm going to leave it there. There are a few other things that I could do, but I think we'll probably best do it. But a few last observations and comments.
I was just going to say there's a shop in Sydney, in Roselands, a ladies' dress shop. It's called Men's Birth. I've never walked in there, and I never will.
And the number of Christmas cards that are pictures of the people that have sent them.
I've got to find my
That Gay is where John's point of loving others has taken over from the actual source of it all, which for Christmas is the birth of God, and just become loving person to loving person level. And that's fine. And Swedenborg says, quite categorically, all those who love to do what is good will go to heaven. They'll learn to acknowledge the source, but the basic need is to love others, not just intellectually, not just as a personal tell myself I must, but actualizing it in compassion and going to. You read one day the parable of the Good Samaritan in Luke 15:10, and you read and you count up the number of things, one by one, the Good Samaritan did for a wounded man. Have a guess how many things he did. He did 16 things. before that. He saw him, he went to him, he looked at him, and saw him and his need, and acted. But he did a lot before he acted. He saw, looked, found, and realised, and then acted. You know, 4 things done before he did a thing. You know? Fascinating. And we get on with the story of putting on the oil of the wine, and, you know, covering it with a bandage and putting it on his donkey. But he did ever such a lot. Observation. Nothing so. Saw him in his blood. That's beautiful, Audrey. Okay, so there we are with self. Was there any other last point of view?
The tending, we did go over the
Yes, to tend ourselves like tending Eden is to be vigilant, not neurotic. Don't become introspective, or else you'll do what the opposite of what John was advocating. Introspection is fearful of oneself, absorption, occupation with oneself. And we tend to go into that. Okay?
It's so hard not to, because you second guess all the thoughts. So am I just, is this really what I need to work on, or is this just a hard short?
Okay. Another thing I would recommend is don't go into your motives. Go into your motives. Why did I say that? Why did I do that? You will go into an area that you will not satisfactorily cope with from ignorance, and you dredge up every motive possibility in the book. The best things with motives is actually to hand them over. Do the good you want to do. Yes. Deal with it and accept the feeling that you have in the wish to do it. But don't start digging up deeper and deeper motives.
David always says, like, just say, is it a good thing to do? Okay, it's good, so do it.
Yes.
That's as simple as that. I don't have to motivation for like, is it a good thing to do? It's good, okay, well then I should do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. How you convincing yourself? No, I'm serious.
I know.
Okay.
I know.
That would need to be another session when we come into how do you identify true good as opposed to what's the word I want? Jaundiced good or whatever.
You know, I mean, look at the possibilities of the effects of what it's going to have on the person you're doing it for.
Yes.
As you grow, I think, as you mature, you learn better to assess when the thing is good that you shouldn't do it.
Hopefully, yes.
Otherwise, do it and
Yes. Tomorrow, I'm talking about ladders in the all camp session, and using the ladder. And I want to give you now, as a select, pre-knowledgeable group, mum's the word. The top of the ladder is to do something just for its own sake. And let whatever good be done. You know, I love the idea. Julian, come here, please. Last thing, for some of you here on tables. I love this principle. Okay? Julian, this is God. God, this is Julian. Introduce and leave stage left. You know? And I think that's wonderful because you're not lingering in ownership and influence, and I liked the feel of having done that. Julian, who's God? God? There's Julian. Yeah. Okay, we must stop. But thank you very much indeed for joining in the session. And a lot more could be subcultured to other topics. We better switch the camera off. Thanks for your participation too.
Is that me?
So,